Open any major news outlet right now. Doesn't matter which one. There's probably something there about the AI race. America's spending, China's closing the gap, and Europe's racing to be left behind early. The whole thing is framed like the space race, like there is a finish line. Like whoever gets there, plants the flag, and it's done. That country wins it. And I've spent the past few weeks trying to figure out who is actually ahead. America leads. That part is real. At the frontier, compute, models, infrastructure, the gap isn't even close right now. But here's what genuinely unsettled me. Leading isn't winning. Not in a race that doesn't have a finish line. There is no moon landing moment here. No one's gonna put the flag, no one's getting done anything. Just an accelerating competition that's burning through the resources, hollowing out labor markets, and concentrating power in rooms with zero democratic oversight. My argument, which I will show you the evidence for, is that the countries that are running the hardest right now might be paying the highest price regardless of where they place. Either they're first or last. Everyone uses the space race comparison, including me 30 seconds ago. And it's not a bad one. Two superpowers, massive spending, and national pride on the line. But there is one difference that breaks the analogy entirely. The space race ended. Alright? It ended. July 20th, 1969. Armstrong steps up the ladder. The goal was complete. Get a human to the moon first. And once someone did it, it was done. Ask anyone what could be the equivalent moment for AI. The most capable model, the most users, the most geopolitical leverage. Nobody's gonna agree because there isn't one. The finish line just keeps moving every 6 months because the technology just keeps on improving every single day. A race with no finish line is not a race. It's just running forever at an increasing cost. And all the countries that have thought like they are in the race can't really leave the race without thinking like they have lost. Like once they leave the race, they have lost it. And they have locked themselves in that circle. And here's something that took me a while to sit with. When people say America is winning the race, what they actually mean is that OpenAI, Google DeepMind, Anthropic, and Meta are ahead. Those individual companies, not the whole country. And those companies aren't government agencies, they're private companies. We need to keep that in mind. The American lead in frontier AI is really a Silicon Valley lead. And Silicon Valley is not the same thing as America. It's a cluster of a few dozen companies operating under their own incentives, accountable to investors, not to anybody else. Let's say if OpenAI pivots, or someone acquires it, or it moves somewhere, does America still have the lead? Of course not. If the technology is in the private hands rather than the government hands, who has actually won? The government spending hundreds of billions on AI are in many cases subsidizing companies with no legal obligation to act in the national interest. And that is not a conspiracy theory. It's just how private companies even work. Their job is returns for the shareholders, not the outcomes for the citizens. So when you hear like America leads, that is partly true at the frontier. Just be precise about what do you mean by America. Now, I want to talk about something that gets flattened every time it comes up. The jobs conversation. Not the apocalyptic version, the specific version. The jobs that are most exposed to AI automation aren't low-skill jobs. It requires some kind of skill, at least. They're kind of like mid-skill, a paralegal role, junior analyst, entry-level coding, or content research. And these are the jobs that people are spending their early careers on, where you actually build it judgment, and intuition to do the harder work later. Now think about that pipeline in the next 10 years. If you automate the junior analyst role, where do the senior analysts even come from? Or is it gonna be AI again, like all over? If nobody's gonna write the entry level codes anymore, who is gonna be the architect for the complex system later on? You don't lose those skills overnight, but you're gonna lose the conditions that are gonna produce those kind of people who are gonna do that job. And the countries that are running hardest in this race are automating this layer the fastest. And nobody in this race narrative is really measuring what they're actually trading to get there. All right, five companies: Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Meta, and the OpenAI Microsoft complex control the vast majority of the compute, cloud infrastructure, and frontier model development that this entire global race runs on. Not five countries, five companies. The decisions, how AI develops, what it optimizes for, who gets the access, what risks are acceptable, or how fast to move. Those decisions are being made in the boardrooms right now. Not parliaments, not international bodies, not anywhere with balance. And I'm not saying these people are malicious. I actually don't think they are. Except some I don't know who is, but not everyone's good, but not everyone's bad. I'm just gonna put it that way. But there's a real difference between being a good person and being accountable to public citizens. Elected governments can be removed, and those boards answer to shareholders, not citizens. The entire arms race framing, America versus China versus Europe, is obscuring something more fundamental. The real concentration of power isn't really happening between the nations. It's happening within them, inside, quietly, with really no mechanism to reverse if it ever goes wrong. So, here's the obvious question. If the risks are visible, why don't the massive players just slow down, right? For a little bit, at least. Like just agree to a ceiling and just buy some time. That's it. Honest answer is they really can't. Not because they don't see the risk. Trust me. I think they see the risk more than any of us here. They know every single thing. But if one country slows down, the other is not gonna do it unless they agree. But I was I would still not trust any other country. But yeah, I'm not being that person, but just being paranoid. That's the one. And there could be minds game inside the countries or companies. Let's say one country agrees to slow down and the other agrees as well, but both of them are like just really working harder, like working more harder on the inside, just to go more ahead if there is any pinch line, just trying to get there. And let's say after all this is happening, if Europe tries to regulate more aggressively, Europe will fall behind. And all of them know, as even if they agree in a constraint, it is only going to produce disadvantages for both of them. They just agree with that fact, at least. And that is really not a strategy, that is a trap. And historically, the only way to exit like that kind of trap is if everyone is at the table. But nobody is even close to the table yet. And here's what I just keep coming back to. We've spent years asking who is gonna actually win the race, like who's gonna pull ahead, like blah blah blah. Thousand questions. But nobody is really asking what winning actually looks like. Let's say if the most powerful AI systems end up inside the private companies, and then what? If the countries that are running fastest try to hollow out their own workforce pipeline, What did they actually win? There's really no answer agreed to that by anyone. Not governments, not companies, and definitely not the public. Because the fucking public hasn't really been asked. And this is the second video in the series. The first one was about what this does to you personally, the quiet erosion of the thinking you stop doing. This one is the same idea, but at a country scale. Next one goes into what a real governance framework would even need to look like, and why everything attempted so far has had no teeth. Subscribe. That one's worth watching. Bye.